Welcome to another IELTS reading explanation video. Today I'll be explaining the Thylacine from book 17, test 3. Let's look at our question types. From question number 1 to 5, we have fill in the blanks, and the remaining 8 questions are true, false, not given. Whenever you solve these kind of questions, in most cases, the first questions, like this one, question number 1 to 5, should be within the first page or the first half of the passage. Remaining should be in the later half of the passage. But it doesn't have to be like that, but in most cases they are, especially when it comes to passage 1 of our IELTS books. Let's look at our first question. They talk about food, or in this case diet, specifically entirely dash diet. So let's see what kind of food they talk about in the passage. If you are not sure where to find this word, you could start with locating the sentence before this: stripes, body and tail. In the second line of the first paragraph, we have stripes, body and tail. But if you look at the sentence after that, you won't find any word relating to food. And if you go down the line, you'll find feeding in the second paragraph, second line. Feeding means diet, and exclusively means entirely. So what was it feeding exclusively on? It was feeding exclusively on meat, or it was a carnivorous diet. So our answer to question number 1 is carnivorous. If you look at question number 2, they talk about hunted, they talk about depending, mainly on. Let's go back to the passage. We'll continue from carnivorous, and we can find hunting over here. We can find prey, we can find long distance chases. But if you look at the question, we are looking for something that relates or that is similar to word depended. In this case, we have relied on scent. We saw hunting here, and these words are also related to hunting, or thylacine anyway. And relied is very similar to depended, so it relied on scent. So our answer would be scent. For question number 3, we are looking for mothers and first months of life. We can find mother in the third line of our third paragraph, and first months are up to 3 months in the same sentence. So they are inside the pouch on the belly of their mother. So our answer is mother's pouch. For question number 4, it's really easy to look at this question. We have 3,100-year-old. A 3,100-year-old will find 3,100, and if you go down the line, you will find 3,100 in the last paragraph of the first sentence. What is 3,100-year-old? It's a carbon dated fossil from Murray Cave in Western Australia, which is around 3,000. So this fossil, a carbon dated fossil, is 3,100 years old, but we cannot use carbon dated fossil in the answer because it is one word only, so we'll use fossil as our answer. For question number 5, we are talking about reduction in dash and available food sources. Let's see in the passage where they talk about reduction of food as well as question number 5's answer. Prey species would be food, and they are declining with habitat. Reduction in habitat. Question number 5, our answer is habitat. Let's solve question number 6 to 13. This is true, false, not given. Make sure you read this part because a lot of students have made mistakes in the past before. Question number 6, we have 1830s onward. We'll find that first in our passage. 1830s is in the first paragraph. Okay, let's look at our question now. Significant numbers of thylacine were killed by humans from 1830 onwards. Killed by humans. The dramatic decline of thylacine in Tasmania, which began in the 1830s and continued for a century, is generally attributed to the relentless effort of sheep farmers and bounty hunters. Dramatic decline in 1830s onwards is attributed to sheep farmers and bounty hunters, and they are both humans. They were killed by humans, so our answer is true. Question number 7, we have 1800s. 1800s is not a specific number, but we'll look for Jews in this case and birth in Jew. We have Jew here. We have, and if you read the first paragraph of the second sentence, they don't mention any Jew. And the second paragraph, we have lots of Jew. There was only one successful attempt to breed a thylacine in captivity at Melbourne Zoo in 1899. This is the number of. They only had one successful attempt to breed a thylacine in Jew. But the question is saying that they had several thylacine that were born in Jew. which is obviously false. For question number 8, we're going to look at John Gold, which is a name. It's easier to find a name than other things such as surprise. First, we're going to find John Gold, which is in the second paragraph of our second page. Then we are going to look at things from the question. John Gould's prediction about thylacine surprised some biologists. Surprised some biologists. Foresaw the thylacine's demise when he published the mammalian. In this part over here, they talk about John Gould's prediction of demise of thylacine, but they never mention how other biologists reacted to this prediction. So we don't know how the biologists reacted. So our answer for question number 8 is not given. Question number 9. In the early 1900s, we are going to start this. Many scientists became worried about the possible extinction of the thylacine. We are going to search early 1900 and scientist in our passage. This number and these would be the early 1900. However, there seems to have been little public pressure to preserve the thylacine, nor was much concern expressed. According to this part in the passage, there was only one biologist who was kind of worried, but most of the other scientists did not care at all. Whereas our question is saying that they were worried, which is a false. Question number 10. T.T. Flynn, again we are going to choose this as our name. Proposal to rehome captive thylacine on island proved to be impractical. T.T. Flynn and island. We have T.T. Flynn over here. Professor of biology at Tanzania in 1914, he was sufficiently concerned about this. He should capture on a small island. If you look at the passage, they do mention the small island, but after that, they don't talk about the island itself. Whereas the question is saying that it proved to be impractical. Well, they never tried to do anything about it, so we don't know if it was practical or not. They did create a law, but that has nothing to do with rehome, nothing to do with relocating thylacine to an island. Question number 11. There was still reasonable number of thylacine in existence when a piece of legislation protecting the species during the breeding season was passed. A piece of legislation and breeding season. That's our next key phrase we are going to search in the passage. A motion would be a piece of legislation, prime breeding season. And during this time, the species was on the very edge of extinction, which means there were not reasonable number of thylacine. In fact, the number of thylacine was worrying. This statement is false. Question number 12. From 1930 to 1936, the only known living thylacines were all in captivity. 1930 to 1936, we have 1936 here, so we have 1930 here and 1936 here. If you read this sentence, it says that a farmer killed the last known wild thylacine, and after that the last known thylacine died in 7th September 1936 in Hobart Zoo, which means yes, the statement is true. After 1930 till 1936, only living thylacine was in zoo. We're going to find living thylacine. Let's look at that. There have been numerous expeditions and searches for thylacine over the years, none of which. Okay, surprisingly, for question number 13, our answer is not given. Even though in the last paragraph of our passage it says that there have been many attempts to find the animal, but the only reason we have to write not given for question number 13 is because it's talking about the current efforts, like what is happening right now, whereas the passage is mentioning things that happened previously. I won't say past because they are using the word have, but that's the difference. Or in other words, since we don't know if they are still searching for the animal, our answer is not given. Okay, that's the end of this video. If you liked it, hit like and subscribe. I will continue this series later on, and I am also planning to bring videos of writing examples. See you. Bye bye.